Hello, in this video I'm going to talk about what buffs to bring to your trials group when you're coordinating a raid. You want to make sure that at minimum you bring the same buffs that this dummy here provides, because if you're going to talk about your DPS hits 150,000 or whatnot, if you don't make sure that you bring the same buffs and debuffs to your group that this is providing, then your DPS is not going to hit as hard in content. So let's go over this real quick. You can see the icons that are right below where it says Target Iron Atronach. I'm going to start from left and go all the way to the right and explain every one of those. So we have Infused Crusher on the far left, and then right in the next square, then we have Elemental Catalyst. Then we have Engulfing Flames. We have Major Breach. I believe that's Minor Vulnerability, and then Major Breach, and then Minor Brittle, and then Major Vulnerability, and then Alkosh on the very end. So let's kind of clump together Infused Crusher and Major and Minor Breach. And we'll just lump that into one overall focus of, as well as Alkosh, by the way. Let's focus on penetration. So if you're not at the penetration cap in your group, then your DPS is not going to hit the numbers that they hit when they're parsing on here. You need to have your penetration handled. I'll go over that here in a little bit. Really easy on how to do that. On top of that, you have the crit damage cap, which is 125. So two things debuff-wise on the dummy are helping with that. You have the Elemental Catalyst set and the Minor Brittle as far as debuffs go. So the Elemental Catalyst is accounting for 5% there because it's only the fire sword, and then another 10% damage on Minor Brittle. So if you actually hit the dummy, then you can go into your screen and see all the buffs that you get on yourself. Hircene's Veneer is a recovery. Then you have Minor Sorcery that usually comes from a Templar. Minor Brutality usually comes from Earthen Heart, which is a Dragon Knight line. Minor Prophecy comes from Dark Magic, which is a Sorcerer skill line. Minor Savagery, this is going to be very common now with subclassing because this comes from the Assassin skill line. Minor Berserk you can get in several different ways. The most common way is to slot Camo Hunter on your front bar, and when you critically strike something from the flank, it will give you Minor Berserk. Also very common on a banner. Major Courage, normally this comes from Spell Power Cure. Minor Courage, this can come from Xena's Empowering Discs, maybe a Scribed skill. Those are the most common. Previously, this was provided by Yulnakrin. Don't wear that set. Don't build it. It's not worth it anymore. Minor Courage is way too easy to get to build that 5-piece set on. Major Slayer. This comes from either War Machine and Master Architect, or if you have a Rojo healer in your group still. Minor Toughness. This comes from the Green Balance skill line from the Wardens. And then these two are hand in hand. Warhorn gives you 20% critical damage. So, and then I'm currently wearing Pearlescent Ward, so that's not from the dummy. So in order to get your penetration handled, Major Breach, and then there's Minor Breach, and then if you're using Runic Sunder, that'll do it as well. Now, the only thing really that your DPS has to run in order to get your penetration handled is Velothi with 2 Herald of the Tomes skills slotted on either bar, and then 1 piece of light gear, and to have your passives filled in. And that pretty much will get you. Oh, and then also a set, for example, this is interchangeable. You can either do Onsul, which has a line of penetration. Essentially, you want to have at least one set that has a line of penetration on it. So if you're on a boss fight, for example, you're probably going to want to use the Null Arc set, which it hits more single target. This doesn't have a penetration line on it. So in order to pick up that penetration and handle your penetration, I would recommend using the new Tideborn craftable set paired with Null Arca. That way you have at least one penetration line on your set, and then that handles penetration for your entire group. That's all you need. For crit damage, it's really just as easy. The only things that you need from a tank's perspective is just to wear Lucent Echoes, which provides 11% crit damage, and then your DPS can run Herald of the Tome to get the 12% from that, which is the Fated Fortune passive. And then also the Assassination skill line has the Hemorrhage passive, which gives you 10%. And then the Adric Spear line from the Templar, if you slot a skill from that on either bar, I recommend the Blazing Spear. You don't even have to use it, you just slot it. And it will give you 12% more crit damage there. You'll get 10% from Velothi, and then you'll get 12% from your armor bonus, and you'll be at crit cap if you slot Fighting Finesse. And that's all you have to do for critical damage and for penetration. Now the other things here, minor vulnerability and major vulnerability, and then Engulfing Flames. I have personally set up support DPS to provide Engulfing Flames on my Zen build. I'll probably be doing a video about that here in the next couple of days or so. And then minor vulnerability procs from several things, shock damage mainly. But major vulnerability, that comes from the Colossus. If you have DPS in your group that are using Gravelords, it only takes a few of them to keep major vulnerability up. So that's how you bring your dummy buffs to the trial. Don't miss out on those. Major Force and aggressive Warhorn, you don't need that. Major Slayer, this can be utilized, I think, more optimally by putting War Machine on. I put them on 2 support DPS, one with a Zen and one with a either an MK or a PA. SPC provides this, healers provide this. This is very common. This is going to be on every DPS pretty much. And you don't need Prophecy if you have the Savagery. Brutality is going to be provided from your tank if they're using the Earthen Heart skill line, which I believe they should. That's a very powerful skill line to keep Magma Shell and Ingenious Shield proccing this all the time. Sorcery, you don't need this if you have Brutality. And then, I mean, that's pretty much it. If you just cover those bases in your Trials group, then you should have a very high hitting group. Now, in addition to that, some things that you can bring that are not counted on the dummy. Several things. Pearlescent Ward is not present, so if you boost everybody's damage by 180, that's going to buff your group. Also, don't have it on this guy right now, but Powerful Assault is another one. 307 weapon and spell damage. Also, Spaulder of Ruin. This is not present on the dummy. If you bring those 3 things to the group, you're going to have a much higher hitting DPS crew than what they do on the dummy, because those things are not present here, and you're talking about a very large amount of weapon damage that you're going to bring to the group that is not present. Also, if you get a stagger bonus in there, stagger is not on the dummy. So those are additional things that you can kind of sprinkle in once you have the dummy buffs handled. But handle your dummy buffs first. That'll make sure that your team is hitting as hard as they can. If you miss out on some of these or you don't bring them, your DPS are not going to hit as hard, and it's not their fault if the healers or the tanks are not doing their part. If you want your DPS to hit hard, come dressed right and bring the right stuff and get your buffs in the group. Then your DPS can do their job and just kill stuff, and then everybody should be having fun with a melt. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Check out my channel and all the playlists I have for different subjects on Elder Scrolls Online. I've got several different things across PvE, PvP, crafting, just general knowledge on the game. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.